Well, so the Bank of Ghana governor has also been criticizing individuals who seem to have stash or bundles of money, especially ones that they cannot count in their homes or any other place except the banks. What has the president been saying now that the special prosecutor has taken interest?
Oh, Roland, good morning to you. Good morning to you, my brothers on the panel, and then good morning to your viewers, particularly those from Mukankwe North. I hope they are all doing well this morning. Roland, it's been quite eventful in the last couple of days. We started hearing this matter on Friday. On Saturday, we saw the resignation letter of the then minister. We saw the acceptance of the president on Sunday, and the office of the special prosecutor has been doing has started some investigations from yesterday. I think it's been very eventful, and the matter is still unfolding. More importantly, I have also read from the former minister that the amounts involved, it's not very consistent with what the police or what the police have in the court records, and I'm wondering how that could be. But the issues are still unfolding. As a Ghanaian, as a former member of parliament, I was quite very elated when we passed the act that established the office of the special prosecutor in 2017. Essentially, it is one of the very first, in fact, it is the very first act that the government of the New Patriotic Party under His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo passed in 2017, and it's to address issues like this, investigate corruption and corruption-related offences by public or politically exposed people. I'm quite happy that the former minister is also given the promise that she is going to allow the processes and she is going to cooperate with the processes. So I think that we should give the OSP the opportunity, other government agencies who are also interested and who want to start some based on what the issues are. I think that we should allow the investigations to progress, and then we can make a point. Essentially, I heard Mr. Ajimandria saying that yes, it's true. The former minister is under investigations, but she's not been convicted yet, or no untoward issues have been found against her. Let's for me, my position now is let's allow the appropriate government agencies to go through. The president accepted her resignation. I've also heard people have issues with the tone and the wording of that letter. I don't think that I personally have issues like that, because look, this is somebody who the president has worked with for a while. I think they were in parliament together at the same time. They served in the government of His Excellency J. Akufo, and they worked together within 8 years before we win in power in 2016. So the president probably could vouch for her integrity, and the president wished her well and wish that her integrity will be restored from what. But it's a huge issue. In any way you look at it, it's a huge issue.
Since the incident,
I am happy that we have also shown that perhaps our governance system is evolving, where people will stand up and actually put in resignations because of one issue or the other, and it should be encouraged. Right. I think that it's what we are seeing from advanced democracies, and this is a culture that we should actually try to encourage.
All right. Since the incident did break out on Friday, you look at what the comments have been from our viewers from Saturday on key points, subsequently yesterday, and even right now, Kweku, Aaron, Prince Anani, a couple of them. I have Amoda Hamidu. They seem to not have trust in the OSP because of maybe past records of investigated cases. And then also they seem to think that the government and its assigns are just heartedly and wholesomely just defending this instead of purely admitting that a public official in a public space undertook an action that was not in the interest of their office as well as the Ghanaian people. What do you say to this?
You see, Roland, I believe that we cannot make strides in this country if we don't encourage the growth of institutions, and if we don't encourage institutions to perform their constitutionally mandated roles. If we keep bastardizing the same institutions that we have put in place to fight graft and all of that, and we don't support these institutions, and every time there is an opportunity, we have to hit it. It is not something that I think will inure to the benefit of Ghanaians. I think that what we should do in times like this is to support these institutions. And the OSP and the law that sets up the OSP actually demands some certain reports from the OSP, where it is biannual reports, what matters and investigations, where they are at every point in time. And that is available for Ghanaians to be able to assess the performance of the OSP. But to say that we don't have belief in the office that we have set by a legislative process, we put up an act together to be able to put this office in place. What I think we should do, rather than bastardize this agency, we have to support it. And for me, if anybody has any information that they think could support the work of the OSP, this is when we have to do that, rather than even before or ab initio start bastardizing. I don't think it's a way to go. Obama, when he visited Ghana, did advise us. He made a profound statement that a lot of us have taken. Look, we can only build a solid nation by building institutions, and this is when we have to support that, be it the OSP, be it the Supreme Court, be it the institution of Parliament. I think that we owe it to ourselves to support these institutions rather than bastardize them at every opportunity.
And if you look at the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act, Mr. Bernard Bona, you go to the intent, the object, especially in Section 2 of the Act. It gives you a vivid description of what its functions also are in Section 3 as well. Would you say that there's trust for the individual as well as the office itself, and what will be your expectations thereof?
Good morning to you, to Fuseni, and of course to Malik, and to your many viewers and probably listeners across the globe. First, this is very sad for our nation, and I was hoping that our brother Fuseni, in making that pronouncement, particularly coming from a finance background, will underscore the consequences of keeping dollars away from the banking system and its implications on the exchange rate, and what that has happened and how it hampers the strength of your currency, and above all, how it increases and escalates the cost of business in a society. This is what first we must look at, the full ramifications of particularly members of government deciding that the banking sector is no place for them to keep money after they have ensured a banking sector collapse. And after you have collapsed the banking
sector cleanup.
Banking sector collapse.
Banking sector cleanup.
Why? You choose my words for me.
No, I'll just provide it.
Look,
please go ahead.
Agric Development Bank is in dire stress of liquidity issues.
I think most of the banks, based on last year's,
National Investment Bank is in dire liquidity stress after you did the banking sector collapse.
No, cleanup.
You understand? Today, if you want to use the same measure that you did in your so-called cleanup, all the banks in this country will cease to exist. If you want to use the same and apply the same, so it tells you how useless that effort has been and how that effort has devastated the economy of Ghana. You just simply decided to cripple people whose banks you thought were not favorable to your political party and political pursuits. 2, because individuals were involved, you collapsed in excess of 517 banks and savings and loan, financial institutions, and what have you, assuming that each of these institutions just employed 20 people. Do you know the number of people that you collapsed? You came and told a lie that by taking over Capital Bank and UT Bank, that you are not going to lay off any worker. But Capital Bank has a CEO.
How is it relevant to the issue of...
I am getting there. You have been...
Capital Bank is in
Oh,
court.
please.
Yes. So,
Please go ahead.
So, if Capital Bank is in court, so I cannot mention Capital Bank and how you collapsed it. You said you were going to absorb all their workers. It turned out that over 137 workers...
Rather, we saved close to 4,000 jobs.
137 workers of the bank took you to court, and the courts have ruled that for the period that you laid them off, you have to pay them, and you have to employ them. That is causing financial loss to the state, if you care to know. And future governments will take you on. You have members of government in a digitized economy, in a so-called cashless society.
Correct, we are not there.
You understand? Keeping tons of money. Look, people are talking about $1 million. Factor all the others, and you get to know that it's close to $2 million. It's close to $2 million. 300 and something plus euros. Unspecified millions of Ghana cedis. Right? I mean, why? And this is a minister. And so we say that if a baller minister will have such a bank in her house.
Don't behave like some George.
This is a baller minister having a bank in her house. Because the amount of money that she's carrying can actually set up a new bank.
Who? What's the minimum capital?
400 million.
Please go ahead.
Ghana cedis. 400 million Ghana cedis.
And then,
So go.
What is $1 million?
Oh, please.
That is in excess of 12 million Ghana cedis. That is in excess of 12 million
When you
Ghana
were
cedis.
talking, everybody allowed it.
Do you understand? If you want, I'm sure your mathematics is not adding up this morning. I can easily give you.
Please go ahead.
Yes, that is in excess of 12 million Ghana cedis. And so that could actually, that is the minimum capital for 3 banks. That is only the dollar.
No, you are getting it totally wrong.
Can I make my point, young man?
Oh, I'm not a young man.
You are a young man. Don't add any age to yourself. So it is obvious that, look, we have failed. And no one else than the president. And look, not only did the president rush in getting a forced resignation, but also in a forced acceptance. That rush in giving a false acceptance, in telling us that, as she has said in her letter of resignation, that her integrity would be restored. Really? Thief man. Then you say that integrity. Which integrity? Where is the shame that has been brought not only to her family, but to the state of Ghana should be worrying to all of us. You saw the Malawian president?
After the COVID.
After the COVID. You saw how angry the Malawian president was?
Sacking
the minister and also recommending prosecutions immediately. Yesterday was the 11th anniversary of Atamil's passing. You saw when Atamil smelled of corruption at the port. You have that. You saw the revulsion, the anger in the president. Not that people's homes were found with such money. You saw John Mahama's reaction when somebody was dreaming that if she is able to get $1 million, she will not do politics again.
So you are saying she should have been sacked?
You saw the reaction of John Mahama. That was even to dream. To their dream that in case I ever make $1 million. This one was not just $1 million. With so much that was taken, this is money that was stolen. How much was left? We are doing as if that is the amount of money that was. No, that is money that was stolen. The money on her bed that was stolen. We don't know those under the bed and those in the wardrobes and safes. So everyone should be terrified. And I was surprised that the governor of the Bank of Ghana would say that, no, this is a matter before court. You don't know the full ramification of what $1 million can do to the liquidity and exchange rate of this country. $1 million per constituencies is now found $1 million on bed. You don't understand. So I feel a bit sad that our response to daylight TV is to say that no, people's integrity will be restored. See, the special prosecutor probably is a year too late in this matter. I say a year too late because this matter was reported to the Ghana Police Service, right? And when it was reported to the Ghana Police Service, they had to prepare and go to court, right? You want to say that the police service was not fully informed? And so if you have such amount of money that was taken, first point, the police should have started investigation and taken control of the house. And also to check how many houses she has. Because where you actually domicile may not be the only house you have. So they should take control of all the houses she has.
Is that not too extreme? You're
What
saying
is
that if
too-
she has 2 homes or 3 homes,
They
then
should by now go there to take a swoop on it. And to actually do a thorough search of these properties. Because we have been hearing that people are stashing money in their polytanks. And that you think that it is water, but it's money. They say it. We hear and we thought that it was a joke. But with this revelation and this expose, it's no more a joke. Her action has actually exposed almost every appointee of government to high risk. Because now, people will be targeting. In fact, the number of calls I had and got from people who want to now be housemates of appointees of government, you don't understand. So much that people now feel that, look,
They call you.
Oh, they
Please go ahead.
call me so that I can link them to you so that they can become house helps for you. Do you understand? This is not anything that we should gloss over. This is something that is terrifying. The OSP probably did. They said yesterday, the news was that she was under arrest. Yesterday, they said she was placed under arrest. You don't know which one is which. I don't think that the OSP alone is sufficient. We should have other institutions that are interested in this matter. IOCO should be very interested in this matter. They should take up the investigations. Shraj should be interested in this matter. The Office of the Bureau of National Investigations, now National Investigations Bureau, that's NIB. The Ghana Police Service, the Inspector General should be very interested in this matter. All the anti-corruption agencies should move in to find out, 1, the source of the money, 2, why such huge sums of money was kept out of the banking sector. Because we don't spend dollars in this country. Cecilia Dapa is not paid dollars, or she's paid dollars as a minister. She's paid in Ghana cedis. She's not paid more than 30,000 Ghana cedis a month. And so for her to be able to accumulate this magnitude, this sum of money within a short period, 300,000 euros, do you convert that one and see how much Ghana cedis we are talking about? That is almost 600 million Ghana cedis. This is scandalous.
we know that there's a code of conduct for public officers. It's now a bill, and of course, I think the connoisseurs of anti-corruption want it to be passed into an act, etc. And then also there's the one that you have to declare your asset as a public officer as well. But there is no linkage that this money that was found has been acquired through any illegal means. Indeed, she's a woman of her own, having been in public service for decades, even by my own estimation. So then the question is, why is there so much distrust that this intended prosecution or investigation by the OSP will come to naught, when ideally that is a foremost institution that should have been acceptable to the Ghanaian public?
First of all, I am impressed, quite impressed with the conduct of and composure of my big brother, Fuseni. For the first time, I've seen him very humble on a subject, to the extent that he finished his delivery in less than 3 minutes.
You were
and
counting.
in fact, was ready for you to move on to the next person. I'm impressed, and I would urge him to keep it up. and keep that composure. I
Subhanallah.
never knew corruption could humble panelists in this manner.
Subhanallah.
There are so many aspects of this entire matter we aren't looking at. First is the issue of the age of Patience Botwe, a.k.a. Mabina. At the time this crime was committed, she was less than 18 years. If you read our Children's Act, Act 560, it has been clearly stipulated what children below the ages of 18 years could be used for and what they shouldn't be used for. I have watched series of documentaries by you media houses where you go to fishermen, you go to cocoa farmers, having documentaries of child labor. But I want to admonish you that the real child labor does not only occur at the seashores or at cocoa farms. It is currently happening in houses of MPP ministers, MPP appointees.
Because of
and
the
I think that Shraj must be interested in this matter. And in the coming days, it will be taken up at the doorstep of Shraj. That must be established. The second is the case proper, and that has to do with this particular amount of money. Let us remember that $1 million, an equivalent of 11.7 million Ghana cedis, was stolen. 300,000 pounds, an equivalent of 3.9 million, 300,000 euros, I beg your pardon, an equivalent of 3.9 million was stolen. Handbags to a tune of $35,000, handbags, an equivalent of 420,000 Ghana cedis. Jewelry, watch, chain, earring alone of the woman costed $95,000, an equivalent of 1.14 million Ghana cedis.
Why are you regurgitating that?
Her phone, her watch, her earrings, her chain alone costed $95,000, 1.1 million. What that means is that you can buy a full house at East Legon if you liquidate her earrings, her watch, her phone. Her kente cloths alone costed $3,000. No, her husband's suit cost $3,000, an equivalent of 36,000 Ghana cedis. Her kente cloths alone cost 95,000 Ghana cedis. If you add all these together with the amounts of money stolen, you arrive at a cost of 16.9 million, an equivalent of 160 billion old currency. When I first heard these figures, admittedly, I thought there were some shatterbundle figures being stated. I thought someone was only making fun out of some figures and just mentioning all sorts of monies until I saw the charge sheet. A charge sheet that was reported by this woman whose monies have been stolen. And so I'm surprised that you have some communicators attempting to say that, no, the figures were misrepresented and that wasn't what was actually stolen. If that wasn't what was stolen, when the housemaid was spending the money, was she spending cowries? Was she spending air? Was it on money she stole that she was spending? And so that cheap defense of this matter must stop and stop today. That is one. Two, what 16 billion, 160 billion old currency means to the ordinary Ghanaian out there. If you are a worker who earns 3,000 Ghana cedis, you need to work for about 100 years in order to be able to attain the 1 million alone dollars that was stolen. If you are an ordinary lecturer who takes 10,000 Ghana cedis, you need to work for 100 years in order to attain the dollars and the euros that was stolen. If you are a nurse watching me this morning, you need to work for 333 years before you can get $1 million that she had in her house.
Why these figures?
This is what the amounts of monies that have been stolen mean to you and I. And so I just wanted everyone to have an appreciation of what we are speaking about. Now, the question many people have asked, why keep such huge sums of monies in your house?
Because it could be her personal money.
2 months ago, the government was on the street arresting abochis. And their claim was that these abochis have hoarded dollars to the extent that they are unable to get foreign exchange at the Bank of Ghana to salvage the currency. Little did we know that a sanitation minister under this government was hoarding $1 million, 300 euros under her bed. And Roland, mind you, these amounts of money, 160 billion, was stolen somewhere July last year. It wasn't noticed. June. It wasn't noticed. It wasn't realized until somewhere in October when the husband came back from work and found the house help stealing. If you have 100 items and one is stolen, just one or 5 are stolen, you would easily detect that they are level 95 and so they are no longer 100. But if you have 1,000 and one is stolen, it will be very difficult to identify. And so if 160 billion of somebody's money can be taken and the person will not realize that a penny was stolen out of it, it should tell you the amounts of monies that she still has hiding in her room. Now, this is a ministry that every now and then spends government of Ghana's money, the taxpayers' money. Quite recently, 43 million was exhausted by the ministry to drain an Odor lagoon that the then Ibrahim Mahama was draining for free for the government of Ghana. This woman said she spent 43 million. When Parliament asked her to account,
that was under context.
When Parliament asked her to account for the work done, the state of that particular river and how the monies were utilized, not a penny was accounted for in Parliament. Fuseni is here. He should tell me when those amounts of monies were accounted for in Parliament. Not a penny was accounted for. Look, Roland, if you critically look at instances, I beg your pardon, that has gone through with Akufo-Addo's cabinet especially, it looks as if they only go to cabinet to discuss matters of corruption. And I'll give you instances. One was the PDS scandal. His cabinet minister signed a deal together with the vice president where a fake insurance guarantee was presented. Are you aware that as a result of that corrupt practice by Dr. Baumia and some cabinet ministers under the Akufo-Addo-led government, 500 million of ECG's cash is still seated with PDS. Not a penny has been refunded to ECG. And nobody seems to speak about 500 million. I tell you today, if you search somebody's room, it is sitting under his bed. And do you remember that the Ameri renegotiation was a cabinet minister again with the president's nephew, Gabi Asoro-Chedako, and he's been speaking quite recently, where a deal that was $510 million was ballooned to 1.1 billion, and the president signed. When he was exposed, he confessed that he was being he was misled in that particular deal. Till date, nobody has spoken about the chop that went on in that particular deal. Nobody has taken a decision to investigate all these practices that occurred in this particular instance. Again, another cabinet minister, the health minister, took monies, ballooned it by $9 per vaccine. 3.4 million doses of vaccines were ballooned by $9 each. Do the addition. It's in excess of 400 million. This health minister took our money. He came to parliament and said he wasn't thinking right. Not in parliament, not cabinet. Nobody apologizes to a corrupt cabinet. It was in parliament. He said he wasn't thinking right, and he lost his senses, and that was how come those monies were utilized till date. Not a penny has been shown us.
So you're itemizing this because.
So all I'm saying is that just when we thought we had seen it all, and the last of it was in the mother serpent of corruption, he had already hatched. And now we have sons and glorious daughter mother serpents of corruption. And so at the cabinet, all these sons I have indicted have become newborn babies of corruption. And now we have daughter serpents of corruption also joining the league. It is preposterous that we have to arrive at a point in the country where you have cabinet ministers, you have government appointees misappropriating our funds. Are you aware that pensioners had their monies at the banks, meager monies, peanuts at the banks, used in restructuring our debts? Are you aware? But appointees of this government have their monies seated at home. And so no wonder that you come on platform and you find ministers speaking as if they lack compassion for people who have been speaking against their monies being restructured. No wonder you come on platforms and they seem unbothered because their monies weren't touched. Their monies were seated in a room. Their monies were being hidden. Do you remember under John Mahama, where a minister only thought had a mere thought that if I should get $1 million, okay, I would exit politics. Do you remember what President Mahama did? He fired her. He fired her. That was a man who had zero tolerance for corruption. But let me tell you what the mother serpent of corruption did in this. When this whole issue broke out, he couldn't fire the woman. The woman signed her resignation, wrote her resignation. And if you read the content of the letter, here are the letters. The woman stated that she's resigning as a result of the public uproar, and that the public uproar had an effect on the progress of governance.
Malik.
And that was why she was resigning.
Malik.
In response to the love letter,
The argument that have come up
the
with
woman,
Malik is that
right.
we may have an individual who is a government appointee who have these stashes or bundles of money at home, could be her personal money.
I have told you how many...
Because nobody has proven that the money that was acquired was ill-gotten.
I have already told you that
did you just say that
it will take a worker who works and attains 20,000 Ghana cedis, okay, over 78 years in order to be able to attain the peanut from her entire proceeds that was stolen. 78 years. Tell me how many years she has been working. Tell me how she was able to accrue. Are you aware that Article 71 holders are not allowed to engage in any private entity? You can only do so at the direction of the speaker. And that is law. That's in the constitution.
So
she
don't
needs
say
to
they are
answer.
not allowed.
Please, you should have had patience to listen, and then you understand the issues very well.
Go on.
Unless you are directed
Why did
by the
Fuseni
speaker.
come here today?
And so, clearly, there hasn't been any such instance. What we are saying, and to this question you have asked, is that what will come out of the investigations by the special prosecutor? It is here. What will come out is here. Article 4 of the Special Prosecutors Act.
Section 4.
Section 4, I beg your pardon. That subjects the special prosecutor to the control of another minister of Akufo-Addo. And so, clearly, I am finding it difficult to see how another minister of Akufo-Addo will prosecute his colleague minister when he is fully aware. He's a minister. The Attorney General is a Minister of Justice. Okay. He's an appointee of President Akufo-Addo. He's a minister of President Akufo-Addo. And the special prosecutor, per this act, is subjected to the control and direction and authorization of another minister, her colleague minister. And so clearly,
that's why you don't have the trust.
I'm surprised. Let me land on this. That after writing series of letters of roses, where you find my dear Mr. President, where you find the president say, I know you so well, I regret, I am sad that you have to go through this, kindly keep calm, you'll be exonerated, your integrity, such letter of roses, people defining, being so sexual with corruption, being so charitable with corruption. And I feel sad. But you see, I am not surprised because President Akufo-Addo is somebody we have known. Dr. Bawumia is somebody we have known. This is a chief mother serpent of corruption who has his junior brother serpent of corruption, who are finally giving birth to sons and daughter serpents of corruption of this state. And that is my worry in this entire matter, that nothing will come out of it. Other investigations have been pending since.
Malik, why do you keep using mother serpent of corruption? I told you that. Please be civil in your language.
Let me explain this. One,
no, it's okay.
President Akufo-Addo was caught on tape taking bundles. You have argued that it was in opposition.
Yes.
What is that?
So
that's my position.
Per your argument, in opposition, when you
it was an envelope.
Per your argument, in opposition, when you take bundle, it is not.
It was an envelope.
In opposition, when you take bundles of money, it is not bribe. That's your assertion.
How is an opposition
Dr. Bawumia today,
what do you mean a bribe?
is being standing his worker is standing trial for stealing bags of rice, salad rice at the port. Dr. Bawumia, and he has same worker, Kek Osei, still working in his office. Dr. Bawumia claims he knew nothing about salad rice. And I keep asking myself, what is the business of Osei with salad rice? If Buta gets missing in the house, where you have Mahamudu and Timothy, who stole the Buta? If Bible gets missing in the house, where you have Mahamudu and Timothy, who stole the Bible? Clearly, Osei Kek has no business with salad rice. Mahamudu Bawumia is the one who is interested in salad. If rice gets missing
that's an unfair comment to me. Thank you for resting your case. But at the end of the day, there seemed to be a certain public mixed reaction to whether a good outcome will come from this investigation by the OSP. How best can we convince the Ghanaian people that the OSP is the right man for the job?
I think that I'll still stick by my earlier submission. That you see, we are evolving. And not until 2017, we didn't even have in existence an office specialized to deal with issues like this. This is not the first time we've had these instances. I recollect when we were much younger, in Dr. Obeda Samuel's case, stash of money was found under his bed. We've had other issues of ministers losing huge sums of money at car washing bays and some buying some huge properties by cash, and all of this have remained allegations. Thankfully, the government of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo found it expedient to put in place a framework that would deal with these issues. And for me, I still think that what we should do as a people is to support the work of these institutions and grow these institutions over time. Who knows, tomorrow it might be someone else who has to go through the process. Malik was talking about issues like whether the Attorney General will have what it takes to prosecute anybody who comes, any member of this government that comes through the investigations conducted by the OSP. I was in Parliament when this act was passed. And the debate was whether we should equally give somebody prosecutorial powers, either than the Attorney General, and what were its consequences. I can tell you that debate took days, and we as a people got to this point and agreed that the OSP can do prosecution subject to the approval of the AG. And I still stand by it because you don't want to have that conflict. We are evolving, we are growing as a democracy. We probably will get to a point where these institutions will be strong to the extent that they will be trusted with prosecutorial powers. And so it's an evolution. Remember, the NDC had been in power much longer than the NPP. But they should tell us one institution akin to the OSP that they have put in place to be able to fight graft within our system. All of this. He started off by talking about child labor and all of that. I think that the institutions have had different interpretation of what child labor is. You see, typically what pertains in our cocoa farms, we learn trades from our parents and all of that. So when you go to the farm on vacations, I'm not too, but the fact, it's even dangerous. It's even dangerous when he goes on to say that child labor is happening in the NPP members' homes. I think that he's just being political about this. He's just being very, very pedestrian about some of this discussion. I think we should move away from that. I will still stay by the point that, look, we need to support the work of the OSP and other agencies. When Bernard Mona says that the amount involved can be capital for 3 banks, I think that he's way off the mark, because the capital per bank is now, 400 million Ghana citizens, and there's no way near, this amount, the amount in question is. And I still made an earlier point to that. Honorable Cecilia Dapa had said that the actual amount involved is not, and so we expect her to reconcile with what we have in the court matters over the coming days. But I still think that, look, this is a matter of public importance. It is good that the public is taking interest. We are evolving. These matters will come up. When they come up, let us find a way to be able to deal with them such that we support institutions to curtail some of this, so that it will be scary. You see, we've been talking about the issues of digitalization, cashless economy, and these are some of the things.
In this matter.
Now, sometimes it is so difficult, especially for politically exposed persons. You know that if I walk into a bank to open a bank account, the KYC that will take up on me is much higher than an ordinary Ghanaian. These are all systems, because the system recognizes you as a politically exposed person. And so sometimes you can't even walk into a banking hall. Years ago,
That's
Roland,
why she kept the money.
Roland, years ago.
Is that why she kept the money?
Years ago.
Is that why she kept the money?
I said years ago. Many years ago. Somebody gave me a huge, the person was living in this country, gave me a huge amount of money. And I could walk into a bank and deposit it. Just like that. But
Because you
over
were a
time,
private citizen.
I was a private citizen at the time. KYC wasn't a big issue at the time. Even at the time, PEP issues weren't this huge. But thankfully, we are building a society. We are building systems that will work. And I think that what we should do now is it's not about going back on issues. We could go on matters of equalization. We could say, oh yeah, this thing happened under your watch. This thing's happened, and so I could rationalize. But that for me, it is not the way to go. When you were talking about issues like this, Mary, PDS, and all of this. In fact, the health minister, you mentioned the health minister. He's been to Parliament. Parliament set up a committee. It was live on TV. We have dealt with this matter, and then you still think that it is relevant to this. I think that we should move away from that. We should support institutions. We should aim at building and ensuring that some of these things we are able to deal with them when they rear their ugly heads within us.
Are you saying that because if you're a politically appointed person, a public officer, you go through strict regimes of proof as far as KYC is related, when you want to deposit your money, that also discourages you public officers or a public officer?
I'm not saying it discourages us from doing
is that why?
But it means that there's a
the money
system.
in the bank?
There's
Is that
a
what you're
system.
saying?
There's a system. There's a system that ensures that when you have illicit wealth or wealth that cannot be accounted for, it is not very easy for you to wash it. In financial, it's washing money.
So are you saying that the money should go is illicit?
I'm not saying that.
Then what are you saying?
Because the investigations are ongoing. I'm saying that essentially we are putting in place systems that will make it difficult for illicit wealth to get into the mainstream. So your question again.
So my question is that you are saying because you know the banking system and you're a former financial banker, so that it helps. You are saying that as a public person or a public officer appointed, I have stashed your money. You are saying that for me as an ordinary, please, let me or you think I'm belabeling that, but let me ask
let me make points.
I'm making these inferences from your responses.
Okay, please do.
You are saying that if you're a public officer, you will be held to strict proof as far as the KYCs are concerned before you make deposits. And I'm asking
everybody. And I'm
asking you, are you citing this and saying emphatically that then discourages public officers from going to deposit their money in financial institutions or banks?
KYC is not limited to just public officers or politically exposed people. It is for everyone. I mean, if you work in the bank today and you are going to deposit a huge sum, I'm sure your national ID card will be required because they want you to know who is actually doing the deposit, where the money is coming, and questions like that. Today, if you have to incorporate a company, there's a special section. If you're a politically exposed person, you have to take, and special consideration is given to it. And that is what pertains in advanced democracy. And these are systems that we should support. That's exactly my point.
I would want this question to go to all of you, if you choose it, but this one goes to you. If you go to Article 88(1), it says, there shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be the Minister of State and the principal legal advisor to the government. Then you go to Act 959, which establishes the Office of the Special Prosecutor. That's Section 4.2. It states that, subject to Clause 4 of Article 88 of the Constitution, the office shall, for the purposes of this Act, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution and corruption-related offences. This and this. Is that why people tend to have a certain lack of trust for the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
Roland, from day one, you know my stance on this Office of the Special Prosecutor. I have said that it is one of the many bureaucracies that we are creating. It is an office for job for the boys. It's not going to do anything except what the President directs the Minister for Justice to ask the Office of the Special Prosecutor to engage in. And so when this act was passed, in fact, there were many who questioned why you were going to give prosecutorial powers to an institution outside of the Attorney General. And if you take care, the Constitution of Ghana actually singles out one minister, and that is the Attorney General. And so obviously, it is clear that you cannot go and initiate any processes without the authorization of the Attorney General. So what is the Office of the Special Prosecutor doing? At the end of the day, the Attorney General will decide whether this matter should be further prosecuted in court or not. And that will be the end. If the minister is not excited about it, and in this instance, there cannot be any excitement because President has indicated that the integrity of the minister will vindicate her, and that he, the president, believe in that the minister has integrity. You don't have integrity in somebody that clearly has come under what we can say that is thievery. But I'm surprised to listen to a banker who says that transactions in this modern day is done by people just going to carry dollars and come and give it. Can I? You carry dollars.
I mean, once you're referring to me, I think that I deserve it.
You carry dollars to go and transact business. Common rent that people pay. Common rent. They pay through the banking sector. You take bank accounts and they wire from bank to bank. We are talking about people who are implementing and supervising policies. Ministers who are supposed to ensure that these institutions work doesn't know that if money is coming to you, it should come through the banking sector. And that if you are making payment, it should go through the same sector. Now,
You can't wash it.
now you have to carry the money. Somebody has to carry the money, cash, and come and give to you. And I'm surprised. When you were working with the bank, you had personal bankers and relationship officers to various persons that you considered key to your banks. No, so you just call your relationship officer, they will come and take what it is, and then it is done. The minister doesn't need to go to the bank if she doesn't want to be in the bank. Saying you know this. Don't come and sit on a public platform where you are supposed to...
I don't even understand what you're saying.
Why will you understand? I'm speaking Sankana English and you are not allowed to understand.
You are making a point.
You understand? So it's obvious. It's obvious that, look, you come and you want to put up a defense that is not worthy. It lowers your esteem amongst your people that hold you in esteem. So, please, this is a matter that is very bad. The president's response has shown clearly that government is impotent in dealing with this over 12 million Ghana cedis that we are talking about. In fact, this is in excess of 20 million Ghana cedis. You know how much that could do for a constituency or a district? You know what this can do in many places, in infrastructure.
But it's her own money.
Oh, you think it's her own money? She works as Minister for Aviation. There was frontier services that the National Minister for, the Minister for National Security is unaware of, right? The Minister for Health is unaware of frontier services. The Minister for Finance is unaware of frontier services. Frontier services was working at our airport, under a minister called Minister for Aviation. They made millions. They made millions. They collected cash.
Yeah, never disclosed.
They collected cash. So it's possible that part of that cash went into her. This is a minister that got about 43 million. She said that she needed to clear about 5 landfills and to clean the frontage of the Odo River.
It's called desilting.
43 million just to clear 5 landfills. That's what we spent on. So when you see, Pio Gabriel will call it chopopology. When you see our ministers, our appointees engage in this kind of vulgarity, you don't come and sit here and want to sanitize what they have done. This is really sad. It's unthinkable that we will have members of government defending this, and we are doing so with the kind of gusto that we find ourselves. And I cannot understand this. Look, Cecilia Dapa has caused Ghana a lot of shame. She has brought so much disgrace into our ability to combat graft. We are out there seeking money. Look, the worst is that school caterers, people who supplied food to our national buffer stock, had to come and sleep rough in mosquitoes.
What has this got to do with the prosecutorial powers of the OSP?
Can I? We're sleeping rough. People who sold school uniforms for our kids to be able to attend school have not been paid. They are threatening to go for the demonstrations. And we have ministers. Put your hand here. We have ministers, right? And other appointees. And this is what they are doing.
Mona,
and our president is here saying that we should go and drink cocoa over this matter. Look, the office of the special prosecutor will not do ho. They will not do tin. They will not do tan. At the end of the day, it is going to be one of the things. But don't forget that we have office of the special clearer. And that office will come and clear Cecilia Adapa and whatever else that she might have committed to our society.
The man hasn't even done the work yet. And all of you are...
I'm saying that office of special clearer, I'm referring to President Akufo-Addo. Is he not the officer in charge of special clearing?
Roland, Fuseni...
Sorry, I have to give you only 4 minutes on this.
Fuseni rightly says,
But you've given
I should mention
more than
one institution that the NDC brought to fight corruption. I'm surprised such a question will come from him. When was Shraj formed? 1993. Who was president? Edward Akufo-Addo.
That's a constitutional.
When who brought it into force?
That's a constitutional.
When was Yoko formed?
That is a constitutional.
2010. Who brought it into force? Was President Akufo-Addo president in 2010? And so I'm surprised that you see, let us pay attention, let us learn, and let us say it as it is. Now, you say that a lot of the issues, corrupt practices under your government have been dealt with, and so we should forget of them. Then he makes emphasis on the health minister's matter. What came out of that investigation? When the health minister said he wasn't thinking right, and as a result, bought 3.4 million doses of Sputnik V vaccines at an inflated cost of $19 per vaccine, when he could have bought same at $10. What came out of it? How did the investigation end? Was it not the usual mother serpent of corruption clearing, where he went to his hometown and said, Health Minister Abre? PDS, when you collected over 500 million from ECG, from, in fact, people on behalf of ECG, and later it turned out that that entire deal was fraudulent because the insurance guarantee that was presented was fake. What happened to that 500 million? Mr. Fuseni, was it refunded? Was a penny brought back to ECG? ECG has been following PDS for their monies for only God knows how long. Not a peswa has been brought back. What happened to other corrupt practices? Ameri, when the president appended the signature and later told us that he was misled, he didn't read, he didn't understand. He only signed. Later for it to turn out that indeed, that entire deal was a baby of, again, the mother serpent of corruption, and this time a nephew serpent of corruption, Gabi Asaro Chiridako. What came out of it? After that entire process was reversed, what happened? Was anyone prosecuted? Tell me a single case of corrupt practice under your government that effective prosecution took place. Tell me. All other ministers, people who were indicted under your government. Why? COVID-19 expose. Frontline workers in the information ministry were paid about 960,000 for no job done. Per the Auditor General's report, that money was supposed to be refunded. Tell me what has happened in that particular investigation. Why? The finance minister issued people with insurance certificates. When the Auditor General came, not a single person could be shown and not a single certificate could be presented. Over 1 million was spent. In fact, over 50 million was spent in that undertaking. Tell me what has happened in that particular investigation. And so you don't sit down and say things have been investigated, they've been cleared, and so we should move on. Who cleared them? Is it not same President Akufo-Addo? Is it not same old mother serpent of corruption we know? Please, let us stop that. Then you speak about washing. Where in our legal practices does washing come into place? Anywhere you see washing, you see illegal funds. Why wash money if it is legal? In fact, our laws have clearly stated that either you acquire, in declaring your assets, what has been acquired directly or indirectly must be made known and stated as such. So if the funds were acquired indirectly, state that they were acquired indirectly. Why do you have to pack dollars in order to say that you need to wash it and pass it? What is washing? Please, we have all arrived at a conclusion.
Should we close?
A unanimous conclusion. And my worry, I'll land on this. He's not ready to close. We can't close now. He should listen to this last point. He should listen to this last point. Fuseni,
please wrap up.
My concern
in a minute
is that your colleague has handbags worth $35,000. Handbags
And
in a room.
what is wrong with that?
How much is your handbag?
What is wrong with that?
Your colleague wears a watch. Oh,
She's not my colleague.
you don't see anything wrong with your colleague wearing a watch and a chain for 1.1 million. It is normal.
No,
they should utilize the taxpayers' money this way. Our drains are choking.
Money?
Our gutters are choking.
Who says the taxpayers'
People
money?
are dying out of floods.
And
somebody has fetched this
Malik,
money.
we can't make
Somebody
that.
is living lavishly. Oh, you think it is normal that somebody's chain, watch, bangle, earrings.
But if I have my money, why can I do that?
Why did she get that money? That is the question we are asking.
You think we
care about somebody spending those
question is
time?
why can't
she buy?
Why did she get that money? Why did she get money to park? You should be concerned about this, Mr. Viseni. You should be highly concerned about this. And you see, that is my worry in this matter. I have given you the number of years people struggling, people working will have to go through before attaining such huge sums of money. I have told you how your government cheapishly arrested innocent abochis for hoarding dollars when your own friend, your own sister, was piling dollars in the rooms. Do you know what $1 million is? Do you know what 300,000 euros is? Do you know what buying a chain for 1.1 million is? Do you know what buying a bag for $35,000?
What's wrong with that?
And if you say you think there's nothing wrong with this,
of course, if I have my money and I want to buy a bag worth $100,000, I will do it. If I have my money and I want to buy a bag worth $100,000,
I think there's nothing wrong with this.
There is nothing wrong with having your money and buying a bag worth $100,000.
I thought the last of them.
Why do you allow this pedestrian argument?
What kind of pedestrian argument? You said you're speaking of worship.
Now it's okay.
You're speaking of worship.
If I have my money and I want to buy a bag worth $100,000,
Please, relax.
I would do it.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm enjoying the show. I'm enjoying the show live from Germany. Father Jacob Jagri. Tell all of them to calm their nerves.
How much is that? $3,500.
To come. No. Please let me read this. Indulge me.
That's $3,500.
Please. Isa, based in Ashaiman, says, I don't trust government to do anything better in investigating this matter. We have one precedence from cash for seat for cash or cash for seat, the Australian visa scandal, Japan, among many others, including PDS. Isa from Ashaiman. Now, Roland, $1 million can pay almost 500 NAPCO trainees and their 9-month allowances. PHK.
It cannot. That's 11.
We have Musa Abatwa in Aswanse. All what Malik has itemized by clearing indicated that President Akufo-Addo has already cleared Cecilia Dapa. So why should we worry about the special prosecutor?
Yes,
and then also we have this one from Mystic Wonder inside Insawam Ijredri. President Nana-Addo has done it again by asking the OSP to undertake this investigation. He should know that the public is concerned about the issue. And then we have a number of people as well. This one says that for $2 million has already been paid to the SkyTrain consortium, yet money has not been refunded. Well, I have Sami Dako. He's a legal practitioner as well, works with the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Good morning to you, Sami Dako.
Yeah, good morning, Roland.
Yes, please. So you wanted to make some clarifications?
Yes, Roland. Yes, I have heard the discussions on your channel, and there were a few clarifications I would like to bring to the attention of the public because of the timing. I did hear on the show that the OSP cannot prosecute unless the Attorney General authorizes it to do so. And that is a flagrant misunderstanding. In fact, it is not true in fact, and it is not true in law. The OSP is the only independent body in Ghana that is able to prosecute without the authorization of the Attorney General or the permission of the Attorney General. So, as you said in Article 88(4) of the Constitution, what Parliament essentially did when they were creating the OSP was to allow the Attorney General to delegate part of his powers by law to another agency. So when it says you shall prosecute on the authority of the Attorney General, you have to read to the last end of that paragraph. It says by law. What this also means is that the OSP is not like the Ghana Police Service or the Economic and Organized Crime Office, who would have to take a docket to the Attorney General for advice when they are done with their investigations, because they prosecute primarily on the fiat of the Attorney General, or what we call warrant of the Attorney General. OSP does not have a warrant or a fiat from the Attorney General. OSP prosecutes because the AG by Act 959 has delegated part of his powers by law. And so the OSP is not a division under the Attorney General. The OSP does not investigate for the Attorney General. The police and the Yoko, they investigate for the Attorney General because the Attorney General does not have investigative powers. OSP is a one-stop shop. It prevents, it investigates, it prosecutes, and it recovers proceeds of corruption. It does all these four functions. And so when the situation is made that OSP needs the permission of the Attorney General to go and prosecute, that is a fallacy. It's never happened, and it won't happen because the OSP does not go to the Attorney General.
Okay.
At all. Let me give you an example. The OSP currently has 5 cases in court it's trying. So if you go to Tamale, we have the Northern Development Authority case. There was never an instance where OSP has to go to the Attorney General. In fact, OSP does not discuss cases with the Attorney General. There is no connection between OSP and the Attorney General when it comes to investigations and prosecutions. And the last bit I want to also bring to bear is that it appears that a lot of people may be confused about OSP, as if Ghana is the only body that has an OSP. No. OSP is a creation of UNCAC. We call it United Nations Convention Against Corruption. When you go to Article 36, it enjoins every member state to have an office of the special prosecutor.
Okay.
So Ghana is not the only country with office of the special prosecutor. America has office of the special prosecutor. They call it office of special counsel.
The
UK has
too.
an office of the special prosecutor.
Yeah.
Kenya has it. Seychelles has it. Almost all the African countries have office of the special prosecutor. South Africa had an office of the special prosecutor, but under President Jacob Zuma, he went to Parliament to dissolve it. And so as we speak, South Africa is still now formulating and thinking of forming a new office of the special prosecutor. So the point I want to make is that it's time that the Ghanaians understand that the office of the special prosecutor is a creation of an act of Parliament.
All right.
And it has come to stay.
All right.
It is not like if its MPP is not in power, OSP has to go automatically. No. It has come to stay just like we have all other state institutions.
All right. Okay, please stay on for me here. Let me get Malik.
Yes. You see,
and you are making reference.
Absolutely. He's not the special prosecutor. He's a research fellow there. But there are questions he needs to ask his boss. Now, Martin Amidu was the special prosecutor. Has he read the write-up, the statement as written by Martin Amidu, where he attributed the entire office? He stated that on different occasions, when he was to prosecute people, the Attorney General called in and asked he stops it. Now, by law, I thought he would quote some laws, but the laws he's quoting further indicts him. Article 88, Clause 4, states that all offenses prosecuted in the name of the 1992 Constitution, let me make that clear. All offenses in the name of the Republic shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance by law. All offenses. You take, this is the Special Prosecutor Act, Act 959. He quoted it. Section 4, Clause 2. Subject to Clause 4 of Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, that is what I just read. The office shall, for the purposes of this act, be authorized by the Attorney General, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution of corruption and corruption-related offenses. Take note, act be authorized by the Attorney General. What he should explain to us, what authorized by the Attorney General means, because this is English, this is what we have read, and this is what has been told by a former special prosecutor. So you should interpret that to us.
Sami, are you still there?
If it's online.
I think Sami has gone.
He shouldn't have gone. How can you leave? How can you leave when they are responding to your clauses?
If you say that the special prosecutor came under an act, no act is superior to the Constitution of Ghana. The Constitution is the ground law.
Absolutely.
And therefore, if there is a constitutional containment in Article 88.4, and then you have an act of parliament, your common law will tell you that this one,
101.
the Constitution is bigger. And it is the tenets of the Constitution that we must respect. I don't know who invited him onto the show.
Bring him back.
He's a lawyer.
He should come and answer to this.
Roland, I'm thinking that
he knows
level 100 or 101.
This matter is still evolving.
Okay.
We need to support the processes. We need to support the institutions that have
including the
mandate. It is principally the OSP's office to do the investigations and do whatever prosecutions.
I've never seen you this sober.
Very humble today. Very, very sober.
All right.
Corruption
so let's support the office of the OSP to do its investigations, and let's see how this evolves.
Okay. So I have this message from Tilly Lam, who says that, as for me, I only want an appointment in the home of the ministers. And then also we have a couple more. Let me just read a couple more. It says, look, this is very simple. This is of public record and of public interest. It is the actions of the minister or the former minister that is under scrutiny. And then, why was Cecilia Dape's 17-year-old house help not in free SHS? There's a question also from Prince Henry. Now, I have this one from Chris from Ashalibotwe. Chris says, the president's statement about Cecilia Dape's scandal has already defeated the OSP's work and seemed to have prejudiced his own position and what the outcome of the OSP and his investigations will be. By this time, Martin Amidu will be laughing at you guys in the studio. That's from Chris Ashalibotwe. Harry from Odumase Lower Manyak says, Roland, please read my message. This MPP government is insensitive to NAPCO beneficiaries. They haven't been paid. All right. So now let me just acknowledge a couple of you who are on our streams. I have this one from PACA, Joseph Isaac Shaggy, Empress Ya Kwabia, and many of you who are on our stream. So thank you very much for joining us, including those messages. We're taking a break. We'll do sports, and then that subject about the bullying, the molesting. And we're talking about the molesting that took place in Adisadel, and subsequently the actions that need to be undertaken. And it's a big subject right here. You want to say birthday to?
The former minister for the Upper East region, who I was privileged to work with when I was the secretary to the Kwame Nkrumah Centenary Planning Committee. I refer to the Honorable James Tiga.
Okay. It's his birthday today.
It is his birthday today. He is such a fantastic...
Honorable James Tiga, happy birthday to you. We're taking a break. We'll be right back with sports.
Just 1 minute.
I can give you 2 hours. You keep talking.
Just 1 minute, please.
Thank you very much.
Just 1 minute. I wanted to refer to section 3 again.